Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to create a wooden box that's not made out of wood, it's actually made out of cardboard. So this is a technique I've used in several projects now, not all of them cricket related, but cricket has been used in some of them anyway, and I certainly used the cricket machine in this project. So first of all you need plenty cardboard like this, just plain old cardboard boxes that you're just going to cut up. What you're going to do first is form the wooden panels or strips of wood, and to do this, very simply, you take a bit of cardboard, you take your craft knife, a fairly decent knife, and this will blunt your blade quite quickly, but for this purpose it's actually fine because a blunt blade helps to create the effect. And all you're going to do is go across your cardboard, randomly cutting into it. Obviously, watch your fingers. Don't just go in a straight line, but just all over the cardboard. Turn it over and just go the other way as well. Turn your blade to the side if you wish, and that will give an extra bit of dimension. So you can see that bit there if you can. It's just sort of rip the cardboard a little bit. And you want to go with the grain of the cardboard. So if you're looking at your cardboard, you'll see the corrugated bit at the top. So in that direction, not that direction, it won't work that way. And you just do your whole piece of card just like that, completely random. And don't worry if big bits of card come out, it's absolutely fine. Now bear in mind this will get painted at the end. So this is us just creating the wood effect. And I agree, it probably doesn't look like wood effect just now, but trust me, once it's painted, it will. I also just randomly go down and just put some wavier lines in too. I hope you can hear what I'm saying over the noise of this knife. Just the extra bits in there. So now that you've done that, that's it. So you then need to cut this into strips, and I'm going to cut these into 5cm or 2-inch strips. So I'll just use my cutting mat as a guide. It doesn't need to be exact because we're going for a rustic look. And there's my tip of the day. If you make anything that looks a bit rubbish when you look at it and think, oh, that's just not great, it's not perfectly finished, just call it rustic. Put rustic in front of it, means old, maybe worn, perfect. So we're going to call this a rustic wood effect box. I've not yet decided what I'm putting on the box, but it will be something made on the cricket, some sort of decoration, I'm sure. So I'm just going to carry on doing these. I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible, so you're not just sitting watching me cutting up cardboard. Let's move this across so you can still see. But the blade's actually getting the blunt already, so it doesn't take long to blunt these blades, so make sure you've got plenty of blades. And also just hang on to any end bits that aren't sort of full size, because you may need these as like spacers. I'll probably need more cardboard than I've got already, but we can always cut up some more later on. Now on cricket, what I've done, I've pre-prepared, so I cut these on the maker, just craft card. I think it's about 280 GSM, £110, I'm not exactly sure what the conversion is there, but I've cut some strips, 2 centimetres wide, just slightly under 1 inch wide, with a score line down the middle, and fold them over, and that's going to go around the corners, round the box. But also I've cut one slightly wider, so this is just over 1 inch wide, 2.7 centimetres, with a 0.7mm centre where there's 2 score lines, so it folds over to form a U shape, if you can see that. And that'll go over the top of the rim of the box just to tidy it up. All this gets painted, the same colour, so it doesn't really matter how perfect you get these. You can cut them by hand obviously, but I did it on the maker because you then get perfect score lines. It does look a bit tidier even though you're painting it, and it's a lot easier than trying to score narrow strips of paper. I've also cut them oversized, and I'll just trim them down manually. There's no point trying to measure them out and then cut them on the maker, because you'll end up cutting them too short depending on how you size the box. It always ends up being slightly bigger or smaller than you were expecting depending on how you've glued it. So they're ready to go later on. For the box itself, which is here, I hope you can see that. So here is the box that I've started, so that you don't have to watch me glue in a box all day. I've already started sticking strips on, and they're just hot glued on. So I'm going to carry on with this bit here, and then I'll pause the video for a while and then come back once I've finished gluing everything on. So it's just a case of, put your first strip on, I'll just cut that down to size, just a pair of scissors, maybe slightly smaller than it needs to be. That'll do nicely there. And it's just a case of hot gluing that on. You want to make sure you've got your hot glue in the top and bottom edges, certainly. Bits down the side, watch your fingers, obviously hot glue does burn, trust me. And we'll just stick that on and we'll hold it in place. Now, we are making this out of cardboard, like I said, just single ply cardboard. Nothing spectacular, nothing fancy, nothing particularly strong. You'll get masses of strength from the fact that it's been hot glued, so you're now looking at double ply cardboard glued with hot glue. The chalk paint also dries solid if you're going to use chalk paint, which I would recommend that you do. That dries solid as well, and once it's finished, it's rock hard and you wouldn't actually know that it's just cardboard underneath. So I'm just going to carry on doing some more here. The bit that I cut off, not going to waste anything, so we'll just cut that little strip on the top there, just like that, and then we'll put our next one down here. Just tear these bits off. Like I say, you will get these little tears, just tear them off, it's fine. You're going to be painting it anyway. So just cut that ever so slightly shorter, and we'll hot glue that on as well. You don't have to worry about getting it perfectly straight. Remember, we're going for the rustic look here. And then this one here, this little offcut, just to get the randomness, I'm just going to put that one on the bottom. And we'll put this one on the top. We'll do that way around. Just a quick line, cut it. And bearing in mind, we're going to be putting edges all the way around as well, so it'll cover up any gaps or anything, but I mean, actually gaps are fine. Like I say, you're going for this rustic barnwood look, I suppose, maybe. Just hold that in place for a second. I hope you can still see what I'm doing. We're just going to carry on doing some more here. I'm trying to work quite quickly. I know it must be hideously boring. You can fast forward through this bit if you wish. I haven't actually worked out how to edit videos properly to cut bits out. And then the offcut, we'll just add this on next. So you can already see, if you can, I have got light shining on here to cast shadows, but you can see the different pieces of the wood effect, if you like. Like I say, I'm just being completely not measuring anything here, it's just stick it down. You could glue it on, of course, and then trim it afterwards, but I find it easier just to do it this way. But you'll see I'm not being particularly accurate with my measuring and cutting, I'm just going for it. And a gap like that, totally fine. I'll just do a full piece here. So let's just trim that one. Just ordinary hot glue I'm using, and my trusty old glue gun that I've had for a long time now actually. Could probably do with an upgrade. Now it looks like I might be lucky and just get this, yes. So I have been very lucky there. I'm going to put a full piece here, I'm not going to do a half piece. So we'll trim that down. I am going to need another glue stick though. It will use quite a lot of glue, I will say that. Obviously I've got glue strings now, which you kind of want to get rid of, because you will see them once you paint it. Okay, so on the edge there, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that. I have got a strip here that hopefully will fit, and it does fit just about perfectly. I'm just going to trim it down slightly. When you start getting the pieces sort of fairly narrow, like this one's going to be, it doesn't cut quite so easily, it starts to fall apart. Again, don't worry too much if it does start falling apart, if you can glue it on anyway, because like I say, you're going to be painting it. So I think that fits there perfectly, it does. I'm just going to glue this one on. Make sure the edges are properly glued. And I'll trim this once it's glued in place. With scissors. So, like I say, no need to be at all accurate with things like this. And we'll just push that down there, make sure it's set. Okay, so I've got another couple of end pieces to do. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to split this way so I don't have very small pieces. But as I say, it really does not matter at all. Right, let's trim this one, stick this on. And the fact that we're going to put the edge round helps hold everything together as well. And for this one, what I'm going to do is stick this on and then trim it once it's on. You can still see what I'm doing here. Honestly, you could, the more glue the better, I think, in projects like this. So we'll just trim this over. Hot glue doesn't take very long to dry, which is very handy. We'll just trim this one down. Trim it down there as well. So I've just got one more edge to do here. So again, I'm going to do the same here. I think I'll glue it on, then trim it once it's on. Yeah, I really wouldn't worry about using the glue sparingly, just use as much as you need. Stick that down. Ideally, you don't want any glue, any that kind of spews out at the end. I have a sneaking suspicion you wouldn't be able to see that bit there, but hey ho, you'll get the idea, I'm sure. So I'm just going to trim this one down as well. That one's just torn by itself, that's perfect. Okay, right, I'm just making sure that you can still see what I'm doing. So I'm going to clear some of this out of the way now. Sorry for the noise. Bear with me 1 second. So what I'm going to do now is take my corner pieces and we're just going to glue them on. No, that's not a corner piece, Michael, come on, get the right bit. So the corner piece there. Now I am going to trim these before I put them on. And as I've said already, remember you're painting over this when you're finished. I just need to trim that bit there. Now this, you will need to take care with the corner pieces with the hot glue. So let's just trim this down here. So do please take care with this bit. So I'm just going to put some hot glue down, if you can see what I'm doing there, hot glue down each end, watching my fingers. I do have several hot glue burns already. Just going to hold that in place, make sure it's stuck. And of course you can't see what I'm doing there. Right, we'll do this one as well so you can see what I'm doing. So hopefully this bit will fit. Yes, it will. So I just need to trim a little bit off the bottom of this one to make that fit. So all I'm doing, in case you never saw that last one, hot glue down each edge. And we're just going to pop that on, taking care not to burn myself. You can feel the heat of the glue coming through the cardboard. But hopefully you can see that there. You may need to just trim it once you've glued it on, but that's fine. But I'm just going to trim it gently there. There we are. We're just going to go round and do that all the way around. And I really didn't plan for this to be exactly cutting this in half and to fit, but that was good. Again, not precious about my cuts at all. That's a good thing with chalk paint, it covers a multitude of sins. Glue this one on as well. And there's a hot glue burn already. Hurrah! And the very last one, which just needs a slight trim. So that's the corners done. We just need to do the same with the bottom edges as well. But I'm going to pause the video while I do that so you don't have to sit and watch me. And then I'm going to come back and we'll do the top bits with the U-shaped pieces just to show how that works. And like I say, there will be a bit of trimming for that one. But anyway, I will see you shortly. Right, so I'm just back for a minute or so because I've just thought I might just show you how I put the bottom pieces on, which are longer. So what I tend to do for these is glue onto the box first. And make sure the glue goes right to the edge, and then I just get that put in place first. And I'm going to use my metal ruler just to push that down so as not to burn my fingers too much. If you do get any glue coming out at the ends, just scrape that off. It'll cool down quite quickly and you'll be able to just use your fingers. And then I'll come underneath and just lift it up. Okay, taking care not to let it peel off. And then just a line of glue along there. And I'm going to use the ruler to press that down. I hope you can see that there. If there's any bits missing, just pop another bit of glue underneath. Now this will be the base, of course, so you do want to make sure that's properly stuck. So I'm just using the edge of the ruler. Again, don't worry too much about glue spewing out underneath. Just scrape it off. It will be getting painted anyway. And it's just lifting a little bit at the end here, so let's a bit more down in there. Perfect, and then I'll trim the edges here, get them right to the edge. You can see what I'm doing hopefully. Where you get any lift, just pop a little bit of glue. I'm just using my fingernail there to avoid burning my fingers. And that's that. So I'm away to do the two ends, then we'll come back and we'll do the top pieces. Okay, now it's time to stick on the top pieces, the U-shaped bits. I've already done the back, the two ends, so I'll just show you the front, but the process is the same. So I do the two ends first, then back and front, whatever order you want to do them in. And the way I do it is, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I pop a line of glue on the inside, and only the inside just now. And place that in place there. Just make sure that's properly stuck. You'll find it much easier doing sort of edge at a time if you like. And then I lift the piece up, making sure it doesn't come off. As I say, the glue dries pretty quickly. And I'm just going to put a line of glue along just the top edge. And I'm going to stick the top edge down, so I really force it down. Once I'm happy that that's stuck, it's then a case of turning over. It's not quite stuck yet. I'll just hold it there for a sec. I might use the ruler. That'll just help hold more of it down than my hands can. I think we're good to go there. And then I'll put a line of glue along the front edge. You might want to do this in stages when it's a longer piece, but again I'm going to use the ruler just to push it down. You will get some glue spurting out here, so watch your fingers. Once the glue started to cool, I'll just go along with my thumb. Probably shouldn't get hot glue all over your fingers like this, but now it does look a mess, I know, but remember we're going to be painting it. So once that's done, we'll then trim the ends. You can see what I'm doing there. And just for tidiness, what I'm going to do is just cut away to make it look like I've mitered it, but I haven't. Just peel that bit off. As I say, remember, get them painted. And do the same in this corner here. Just take care not to cut yourself. And just trim where I need to, just in the ends there. Perfect. So now, you can see that. Obviously I will take pictures at the end once it's all painted, but hopefully you're able to see that there. So I'm just going to pull out any bits of hot glue that have spurted out there. So for painting, I'm not going to show you the entire process of painting, because I'm sure everyone knows how to paint, but the way I do it, for the inside, I'll just take a small brush. So I'm going to use a small brush, I'm using Rust-Oleum graphite, and the small brush is just to get into the edges, and you do want to paint the whole box, including the inside. So right into the corners with a small brush. And chalk paint actually goes a long way. You can lay it on as thickly as you want here, to make sure everything's covered. The inside of the box, depending on the brand of paint that you use, the inside should only need one coat, especially if you're laying it on thick. So now that that's the corners done, I'm going to move to my chalk paint brush. I'm going to, like I say, lay it on thick. Just slap it in there, making sure it's all covered. If you happen to have any sort of sellotape on the boxes that you're using, peel that tape off. The chalk paint doesn't like sticking to it. I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing here, but like I say, I'm just painting, making sure it's all covered. I won't finish the inside just now, I'll move to the outside in just a second. Because when it comes to painting the outside of the box, what you want to do, any old brush will do, to be honest, in fact the older the better, and you're just, honestly just slapping the paint on in all directions. If you have a proper chalk paint brush, a round one like this, it makes it a little bit easier. Then you're just kind of going round. Your base colour, I mean it could be anything really, depending on the colour of box you're going to create. This one is going to end up being brown, but I have a technique for that if you haven't got brown chalk paint, which I don't. I've had difficulty getting a dark brown chalk paint. But you do want a base coat of chalk paint, whatever top coat you use, because it's the chalk paint that dries hard and gives the box the rigidity that you need. So I'm just going to carry on. And once this is dry, you will find that you'll see sort of gaps where the paint hasn't taken, but that's fine. You can just go along with a smaller brush and fill in any bits. You may see the cardboard start to wrinkle just a little bit, but that's fine. It will kind of settle down. I'm going to take a small brush now and just get into the bits that you can't see. And one thing I've found, so after you've given it a first coat and you're looking at it in one direction, look at it in every direction, and you'll see bits that you've missed. So I'm just taking the small brush and just applying liberally all the paint. I can see a little bit of wrinkling here, but again that's fine because we're going for the rustic look, like I said. So when I turn this round, I'll probably see bits that I've missed, which yes, I have. It's just a case of getting in as much as you can in your first coat. I think that's pretty much good to go. So I'm going to go and carry on painting this, and then we'll come back later on and we'll do our next coat once this top coat is dry. Chalk paint in half an hour for the second coat, depending on what you're doing. You can cheat and use a hairdryer to make it dry a little quicker, which I might do with this one, just so I can get this video done for you. Okay, right, I shall see you soon. Okay, now that the chalk paint is dry, I did give it a helping hand with a hairdryer earlier on. I'm now going to make it look more like wood, and what I discovered when I tried to find brown chalk paint that looked like old timber, couldn't find anything. I tried to mix my own, wasn't very successful. I ended up using, if you can see that there, dark brown fabric dye, which amazingly works. And basically you just slap it on top of the chalk paint. It dries a bit lighter than kind of what it goes on, but it's quite good. It's obviously very wet. It gets into all the bits that you may have missed with the original coat of chalk paint. It's also very, very messy, just to pre-warn you of that. Just use any old brush for this one, and older the better for this type of thing. Just layer it on quite thick. I also use a hairdryer between coats of this as well, just to make it dry quicker, because you will find you'll get a wrinkling of the cardboard with this, because it's very, very wet. But amazingly, because of the chalk paint underneath, it still dries rock hard, and you wouldn't actually know that you've just used fabric dye. I'm sure it's not its intended use, but if it works, it works. Just doing this spot more there. It doesn't actually take very much. It goes a long way, because obviously this is fabric dye, so it's got to be very dark to be able to colour the fabric. Like I say, I'm laying it on fairly thick. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. But I'm hoping you can kind of see on the camera that you can sort of see the wood effect starting to take shape. And honestly, once you've made one yourself, you won't believe that it's just cardboard. And I will say, you can't really see it on the camera at all, but I have made one hell of a mess. I should have really put some painting overalls on. I've done this outside, would have been even better, but it's actually not very nice weather here today. And of course, if you need a smaller brush to get into the little bits, fine. What you don't want though, if you're sort of laying it on quite thick, what you have to be careful of is that you don't have too much paint sitting in the crevices. So just brush over it to get rid of any excess. We will be, once this is dry later on, we will be going over this and giving it a sort of distress coat as well. I'm just going to, this is a side I've already done, so it's quite wet just now, but there's a couple of bits missing. And again, you can go over the dye a second time if you need to. Don't worry if you can still see some of the chalk paint through, that's fine, because that'll just add to the effect. It's kind of what you want actually. So that's that side done. I'll need to wait for that to dry before I can do any more. But like I say, I'll give the hairdryer a once over on it. And then we'll be back just shortly. Okay, we're now going to do some distressing. What I'm going to do this time, normally I would go dark with light distressing, but this is dark with very dark distressing because I'm using black chalkboard paint, which is much the same as chalk paint. And the process is still the same as any other sort of distressing that I've done. If you can see there, I'm just loading my paintbrush. But I'm going to brush off most of the paint. By using the black, it's just going to give a more sort of old charred look, I suppose, to the cardboard. You won't see this on camera, I don't think, but I can just see it gently starting to pick up the black. I'm just going to go all over it in all sorts of directions. Remember, we're going with rustic here, so almost the rougher the better, really. Just pay more attention to the edges. Once it's dry, I may go over it again with a lighter colour too, we'll see. Just to highlight some bits. So I'm going to do the ends as well, if you can see that on camera. Like I say, completely random. Just get some more paint on my brush there. It's not actually completely properly dry yet, I will say, so it's not actually ready for doing this distressing bit, but I'm going for it anyway. And I'm just going to go around the edges as well, if you can see that there. So it's just lightly over with a brush. I've not done anything with the inside of this box here. I've decided just to leave it as it is. Okay, so I'm just going to put some extra on the, like in between the boards, if you like, whatever you want to call them, the pieces. Like I say, you can do this process, the distressing process, as many times as you need to till you've got the look that you want. And actually, I don't think I'm going to do anything darker here, because what I decided to do, and I'll show you in just a second, is I thought, because this is like sort of coming up for barbecue season, quite rare in Scotland, I must say. It rains quite a lot here. But when the sun does come out, we enjoy it. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go with that there. Yeah. So yeah, with it being barbecue season, I thought this could be like a barbecue type box where you could chuck in, I don't know, all your bottles of sauces and things like that, utensils, whatever you need to do. You can just bring it out to the barbecue, anything like that. But of course the box can be whatever you need it to be. But what I have done, and I'll show you in just a second, I'll move the box to the side. I've made a plaque for the front of it, a barbecue plaque, if you can see that there. Now with this one, I'm going to take the camera down. What I did with this, because I wasn't sure if this was going to work, so I didn't video the process, but actually it's come out better than I expected. So I just found an image called barbecue on Design Space. It does have a hidden layer, which is how I've been able to get this slightly bigger layer underneath. So I cut one of the big layer, two of the smaller layer with the barbecue cut out of it. So it's a stencil font, which is nice and easy to work with. What I then did was take, if I can show you them, these sort of metallic poster paint sticks. I'm not even really sure what you call them, play colour, they're kids ones actually, but they work very well for my purposes. And I just coloured the back piece with the red, white and yellow, as if it's trying to get a flame effect. Wasn't sure if it was going to work, like I say. What I then did was glue the two top layers with the barbecue together, and then glued that onto the base layer that already had the colour on it. What I then did was put the letters back in place, and I bet I don't have a letter to show you what I did there, but essentially the letters that cut out, I just popped them back in place, then I painted it with a black chalk paint and peeled the letters back off. I did get some sort of seepage in there, but actually it doesn't matter. I'm probably not going to do any more with this. I think I'll just leave it as it is. I could distress it with sort of a bit of white maybe, possibly, but I'm actually just going to leave it black. I actually really like it. So that's just going to get glued to the front. So we'll do that in a second. Let's pop my camera back up. See how this is getting on. So like I say, as it dries, just sort of see how it's looking, see if you need to add any more. I'm really hoping you can see where it's starting to get black. So it kind of looks a bit charred. It possibly still looks like cardboard just now. It's hard to tell. but when you see it from a distance, it looks better maybe. So all I'm going to be doing is popping, I'll decide which side to use, is popping the barbecue sign on. What I also did actually was get some chipboard on the back, just slightly smaller than the piece, just to keep it sort of from bending really, especially when the paint's drying. So all that does get stuck to there, and then that would be the box finished, I hope. You could also do, God, you could do so much with these sort of things. Add handles in, you know, so you can pick it up. I don't know, anything. The only limit really is your imagination with something like this. So I'm just going to leave this video for now. I'll glue this on, I'll be posting pictures of it as well. And thank you for watching.